We'll get going. Great, thank you. Let's see here. I would like to call the June 10th public hearing meeting of the City Council on the budget. Roll call, Madam City Clerk.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Adams.
Supposed to be coming, but just might be a little late.
Ally,
Same thing.
Bean,
Here.
Beltrandy.
Here.
Burns,
Here.
Figgy,
Here.
Flaherty,
Here.
Harris,
Here.
Matthews Kane,
Here.
Mello. Is here.
I'm here. I'm here.
Morganelli,
Here.
Oniski.
Here.
Okay, so this is obviously, this public hearing is just specifically to the upcoming budget discussions and presentation. This is for the public. I'm sorry?
There is a communication from the mayor. There's been an updated agenda that you may not be aware of.
I do not have that.
I sent it in a late email today. It's on the share file also.
This is the one I printed off the website, so I've got like.
It was
4.
updated on the website, but it was later in the day.
The agenda is still the same, correct? It's just the budget that changed.
Well, it's a communication from the mayor submitting an amended FY22 budget relative to the assessor's department, the building department, the health insurance. The net effect to the already presented FY22 budget is 0. So it's just moving money around in different ways in order to cover an oversight in the building department. So what I'd like to do is make a motion to have that, to accept that and refer to finance.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any other discussion on that? Because you're referring it, correct? Any other discussion on that?
Just all of the pages that are changed in the budget are on an email to all council as well as in the shared drive. So you just got to print those up and substitute them into the budget.
And motion to accept immediately because one of the items is on the agenda tonight.
I'll second.
Thank you, Dave.
Motion made, or as amended. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call, Madam City Clerk.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Adams, Ally, Bean,
Yes.
Beltrandy,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Figgy,
Yes.
Flaherty,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Matthews Kane,
Yes.
Mello,
Yes.
Morganelli,
Yes.
Oniski.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'll just say, if, when there's late communications like that, phone calls need to go out. People don't watch emails all the time, and we can't have these last minute things happen. One, it makes people look foolish, first of all, and secondly, I want to make sure everybody's up to date what we have in front of us. So from now on, if there's things that day on the agenda, can we get a phone call? Thank you. So we'll start with the public hearing. This is the public hearing on the FY22 budget. We'll open this up now to the public because that's what it's for. It's really a situation, unless counselors are going to deem themselves part of the public, which they absolutely can. But I would like to hear from the residents first, and then we can go to council if they wish to have a discussion. Is there, and Pete, how do you want me to handle this? I don't see too many out in here that I don't recognize, but okay. Is there somebody from the public that wishes to address the city council? Hearing none. Any counselors that wish to read any correspondence for the record or anything that was brought up in particular to them? Councilor Morganelli?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm just wondering how this public hearing was it advertised in any other way other than placing it on the website? And was it in the newspaper? Was
Yes.
there any other? It was?
Yes, it was in 2 different days.
Okay. I'm just very disappointed that no one from the public, because I've had people talk to me in conversations about the budget, but I'm disappointed that nobody's here to talk about it. Public needs to weigh in on it. It's their tax dollars.
Yep. Any
Yep,
other comments?
I did my part in this through the social media. Yep.
Counselor Sullivan.
I guess just on that point, if we could, in the public record of this meeting, just list how it was, published. I know we took a vote at the last council meeting when this was presented to put it on the website, and then just so that it's clear that it was in the newspaper when it ran and others, so that it's clear that it was publicly noticed, as a matter of fact.
Okay, we can do that. Anything else from the council? Counselor Flaherty?
Yes, thank you. First, I'm going to read a letter from Lisa Oxkin, and then I'll give my own commentary too. So this letter is, Dear Councilor Figby, thank you for reaching out to the Westfield Taxpayers Association. Sorry to not get back to you sooner. Busy time for all of us. I was able to meet some of the members last night. Most agreed that the turnaround time for public participation was quite quick, and they did not have time to look into the budget as much as they would have liked. Consensus from all was a concern in the increased new spending, with many major plans funding absent from the budget. While we all support our schools, $2.3 million in new spending is a large number. It is disappointing the mayor did not force the school committee to cut more when they left in line items for retirement bonuses. These types of discretionary expenses do not benefit the children's educations. What are the future goals of the finance committee to put the city in better financial standing for future budgets? How are we saving for future infrastructure projects? Looking ahead, the WTPA would like to see more proactive approach to financial planning. Some things we would like to see are a plan for capital projects, more serious annual contributions to the OPEB, renegotiating of labor contracts, reducing severance benefits and payout of sick time, funding for long levee and dam work, and a possible position for oversight of these large projects, funding an alternative water source for the north side, an ordinance to be created to ensure candidates running appointed to board council are up to date on all city bills and taxes, an accountant position to provide financial updates, reports to committees and boards, a grants position to seek out available money for the city, an annual budget to be presented with pie charts, graphs, or similar to other cities for more transparency and easier understanding for the less budget savvy taxpayers, planning for pending lawsuit settlements, and transparency to taxpayers of all costs. We look forward to watching the department presentations in the coming week. Last year's presentations were quite informative, and I expect this year to be the same. It is tough to compile meaningful public participation prior to hearing all the department's pitches for what is in their budget. Potentially after these presentations, we'll be able to provide more guidance on what should be cut. Respectfully, Lisa Oxen, President, Westfield Taxpayers Association. So then my own commentary is, I've heard similar things from others, in the past. Many of these meetings, people get the feeling that they're unwelcome. They're not welcomed here to give feedback and suggestions. They've been harassed, in ways to say, okay, you, Mr. Taxpayer, come up with specific line items you want to cut, or don't dump this on us now kind of attitude. And I feel it's the city council and the mayor's job to select the budget line items to meet the goals of the taxpayers. The taxpayers should be able to give us goals like, don't raise my taxes 2.5%, or don't, take money out of the savings account for operating expenses, or, for me, the schools might be a priority, and somebody else, the roads might be a priority. They should be able to express those things in terms that are comfortable for them without being, pressed when they come to a meeting like this. So I think we are missing people because of that. I also feel that in the past, people have come and spent an hour talking to us and then had the council and the school committee and the mayor completely ignore what they said or asked for. So people are just tired of it. In my case, I think the format this year is really not good for anybody other than the early departments. I don't like having all these meetings with all of us here. I think the finance committee is not doing their job. They're supposed to do all this homework and then make recommendations to the rest of the council. It doesn't take all of us to sit through 20 meetings with department heads at 10 or 15 minutes apiece and then immediately vote on their budget without seeing the whole big picture of all the other budgets that are coming in behind them, and without having the council or the finance committee establish what their vision and goals are for this fiscal year. Are we going to try to avoid tax increases, or maybe we're going to have a tax increase, but how much? What are we going to do about free cash and stabilization? What about all the capital projects? What are the priorities in the city? That, you know, you can see in the mayor's budget proposal, there were some late cuts because of what happened in the school committee. Is that okay with us? Right? What's the long-term plan? Do we have a master plan? So all these things are very important for the finance committee and the city council to discuss and think about before we go line by line through every single department. It doesn't make any sense for us to go, for example, through the law department, who's up first tonight, and talk about any kind of cut that might happen there without seeing the big picture of the rest of the city. I think it's totally inappropriate to that. And I think we're missing out on the ability for the finance committee to make recommendations to us. So I'm probably going to make motions, and you'll get tired of hearing them tonight, to table each of these votes until after we get a chance to see the entire budget, after we hear from the finance committee on what their recommendations are, after we hear more from the public, and after we have a potential ability to negotiate with the mayor. I see the mayor on the call tonight. There might be some things that we could see in this budget tonight that we say, hey, you know what, maybe we can take 200,000 out of one budget and put it in another budget that has priority for us. And the mayor has been very welcoming to those kind of ideas if it makes sense for the city. We can't do that if we vote on all these budgets right now. We need to see the bigger picture and think about what we might want to do in the next couple of weeks. If that doesn't happen, I know I'm going to be a no on the budget, just because I cannot pass this budget as is with a 2.5% tax increase, $2 million out of free cash, and still not addressing the long-term high priority items. So you'll hear me make some motions to table tonight. Hopefully you support that idea, and then we can have a better result in the end. Thank you very much.
Councilor Morganelli.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, I mean, I concur with what Council Flaherty said with most of that. The process for I don't know who's going to watch this video. No one's really on here from the public right now, but if they're watching this later, the process in the past was probably not the best either, because I remember being in council chambers till 2:45 in the morning. If some of you remember that meeting, the marathon. So doing it the way it's set up is perhaps a little better, but I think there's got to be some kind of compromise there. I don't like the way it's done right now, and for one reason that I don't think Councilor Flaherty mentioned, it's because the public really doesn't have time to listen to all the department heads, get the information in the next few weeks. On the budget, go online, look at it, ask questions, and we can't get feedback from the public and then go to the department head and say, hey, you know, Joe Smith said this, or, you know, Jane Doe said that, and what about this in the budget? So we have no way to, there's no avenue to do that, because we're asked to vote on it right after it's being presented by the particular department and the department heads. So for that reason, I just do not like the process. I don't think it's fair to the public, and they're the one it's their budget. They pay the taxes. Yeah, we get some state and federal money, but it's their money. So as a voice for the taxpayer, I respectfully disagree with the process of how the budget is being voted on this year.
Anything else from the city council before we close the public hearing? Hearing none, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any other discussion?
Just that, what if somebody gets home at 6:30 and they thought they had an hour?
Dave Flaherty, go ahead. What'd you say?
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. President. Said, what happens if somebody gets home at 6:30 and they thought they had an hour to join us?
Can always direct them over to the finance meeting of the whole.
Council Beltrandi?
Yeah, we do this every year, you know,
Okay.
advertised, it's out there, the parameters are there, 6 o'clock, okay, and We don't have anybody. So, we need to move along.
Okay.
We got to live in this city, and they don't show up for these meetings. We do it every year. And with all respect, Councilor Figgy does a phenomenal job with this stuff. He's tasked with this, and I don't think it's fair to say that this is not a good process. I mean, Councilor Morganelli, you've been around for a long time too. How many people do we have at these public hearings? Doesn't matter if we're in chambers or not in chambers. They're just not there.
Motion on the floor to close the public hearing. Oh, Councilor Morganelli, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll just respond to Councilor Beltrandi. We have had people in chambers before. I'm surprised with the easy accessibility of this on Zoom, and maybe it's because a lot of the people that really care are not computer savvy. They don't go on the computer and log into a Zoom meeting like this, and maybe that's one reason. People that have been around a while, especially the seniors, they're not. Some of them are not as adept at computers and that kind of thing as other people. So maybe that's why. But I know we've had people in for public hearing. Yes, and it hasn't been many. You're right, Councilor Beltrandi. It hasn't been many. It is continues to be disappointing, I guess. And I didn't say that the process was. I didn't say anything against what Councilor Figgy and the Finance Committee has decided to do. I just disagree with the process. I think there could be a better process to allow the public to weigh in on it. So I'm not saying they did a bad job. They did the job they felt was the best thing, and that's what their job is as the committee, to do that. I just happen to disagree with it. That's all. Thank you. And thank you, Councilor Figgy, for all the work and you and your committee have done with the budget and in the meetings to come, because they'll be, I'm sure, very arduous.
Thank you, Nick. It has not been easy trying to allow for questions from counselors. This is the only way we can do that with the AG's ruling. So that's why we did it last year. It received rave reviews. The new counselors thought it was a great way to go. The department has enjoyed it. So we repeated it this year. So, I would welcome anyone who would like to change this, become chair of finance next year.
Mr. President, may I make a comment, Cindy Harris?
Go ahead, Councilor Harris.
Thank you. I just want to point out also that along with the computer, you are given a phone number that you can just call in and also participate into the meeting.
Motion on the floor to close the public hearing. Roll call, Madam City Clerk.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Beltrandi,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Figgy,
Yes.
Flaherty,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Matthews Kane,
Yes.
Mello,
Yes.
Morganelli,
Yes.
Oniski.
Yes.
We
Great.
all at 7. Second,
Motion made and seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing none, roll call, Madam City Clerk.
Sullivan,
Yes. Does this mean we're going to rotate position on the ballot too? Just wondering.
No.
I don't know. Do you want
Of
to
course
rotate?
not. That wouldn't be fair.
No, it wouldn't be. Fair.
Yes. Adjourn.
Bean,
Yes.
Beltrandi,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Figgy,
yes.
Flaherty,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Matthews Kane,
Yes.
Mello,
Yes.
Morganelli,
Yes.
Oniski.
Yes.
Just at 7 o'clock, make sure you guys have the right link there to get back on. It's